Hello everyone. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join us today for the webinar, and which is entitled All About Internships and Placement, which is organized by DigiSaksham. So, DigiSaksham is an initiative of SAM's Welfare Foundation and has developed content for over 300 courses in multiple languages, which range from 4 hours to 6 months for all the age group from school children, youth, professionals to senior citizens with over 6,000 trainings till date in various sectors like technology, science, IT, healthcare, finance, and more. Now, moving to our today's event. Our today's event is based on internships and placements. Internships are vital to our placement chances, considering that they add a lot of value and skills to our resume. Today, we learn more about internships and placements, like what is the right time for doing an internship, how we get placed in a company, and many more. To enlighten us on the topic, today we have Mr. Kushal Vijay sir. He is a software engineer in Microsoft. He completed his BTech from NIT Jalandhar with electronics and communication. He is very good in languages like Python, C++, and many others. He is a certified Python programmer from Microsoft and has experience of technical content writing. I request to Mr. Kushal Vijay sir to address us more on the topic. Sir, please.
Sure. Okay. First of all, thank you, Vinay, for the so sweet introduction, and I'm really glad to share my experience with you all. And I hope by the end of the session, most of your doubts will be cleared. And I wish to add some value to your lives. So let's get started with a small introduction of mine. Although, like most of the things are being covered by Vinay, but let me give it myself only. So, my name is Kushal Vijay and I belong to Ajmer, Rajasthan. I did my BTech from NIT Jalandhar with electronics and communication as my majors. So, moving ahead, currently I am working as a software engineer with Microsoft. Previously, I've done a couple of internships, including one with Microsoft and one with a German-based startup, and it was a long internship. We'll be talking about that also. And I also run a YouTube channel with the name of Savage Programmer. It is my way to give back to the community because the community has given me a lot, and attending these webinars were also a part of my journey. These webinars literally helped me to clear my doubts up to the limit. And what happens is many students reach out to me on LinkedIn and various other social media handles. And these webinars are the best way to get in touch with the person directly. Like you right now, after 20-25 minutes, 25-30 minutes, we'll be taking your questions. So you will have the direct chance to get in touch with me to ask questions directly. So do attend such kind of webinars. Moving ahead, as I already mentioned, that I'm very frequent on LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel with the name of Savage Programmer, where I produce content related to opportunities, interview experiences, technical content, which will definitely going to help you if you belong to technical domain. So do check it out. When I will share all the relevant links to you. Now, what we'll be talking today, the agenda for today will be initially I'll be sharing some information regarding internships, placements, and then we'll move forward to off-campus placements. Because if I talk about on-campus placements, with that is like in everybody's reach, but off-campus placement is a thing students have doubts about, and students the thing is students have some irrelevant doubts also regarding off-campus placement. They have some misconceptions also. So we'll be clearing all those, starting from internship placements and then the off-campus, and then Vinay will also be asking me some questions, and by the end of the session, we'll be taking some Q&A. So starting with the most general question about internships. So many students have this doubt. in which year we should go for an internship. So even first year students think that they should do an internship after the end of the first year. I would recommend don't do that, because those in the initial years of engineering, you should focus on exploring different domains and going for some important stuff like the data structures and algorithm, right? So those are the most important stuff that you should explore in your first year, and you should focus in your first year and during the summer vacation after the first year. If you'll invest your time in something else, doing an internship, you will learn. Obviously, internship is a thing from which you learn and you grow, you upskill, but you lose your time of studying DSA, which will help you in the upcoming years of engineering, right? So highly recommended. Try to focus more on learning DSA and building some projects in your first year by the end of the first year, and then we'll come jump to the second year students and the third year students. So for the second year students, I would recommend you to check out different programs that companies host. For example, Microsoft hosts Engage program, Google hosts Step Internship, Twitter hosts Developer, and many other like that. Amazon hosts Amazon Wow. Now most of them are female specific. The restriction is for like female candidates only, but like Microsoft Engage is open to all. And there are other programs as well. So second year students should keep an eye when these programs are going on, like what is the deadline and what requirements are there. So you should keep an eye on these programs. Also, if also what you can do in your second year, you can start contributing to open source. Open source is a thing that will upskill you, that will grow your skill, that will get you some great job opportunities in the upcoming years of your career. Further, you will have a footprint in the open source domain, and while contributing to open source, you can get an internship like under the program of GSOC, Google Summer of Code, which is a great program. It has great perks as well, and you learn a lot during that. And having the GSOC certificate in your resume gives it a lot of value. So make sure if you are in your second year and you are done with DSA, you can start working on your open source. You can start contributing to open source domain. Now moving on to the third year. Now, as I just saw someone mentioned, like people are from outside India as well. I'm talking things with respect to Indian subcontinent as of now. If you guys have any questions related to technical questions, then we'll take them by the end of the session. Okay. Okay, fine. So talking about the third year, students should so when you enter your third year, companies visit your college for to hire interns, which will and the internship hire for internship after the third year for the 2 months. That internship is really important. To, so there are two things. One is you'll get to learn a lot of stuff during the internship. Secondly, if you'll perform well, you'll get a full-time opportunity with the same company as well. So companies offer PPO, which is pre-placement offer, to the students who did internship at their place and if they have performed well. But the problem students face is it is really hard to get internship off campus. But we'll be taking off campus thing once we'll discuss the placement scenario also. Now, for the final year students, there are two things to get them placed, to get a placement. First is 6 month internship, which is a 99% surety of getting a PPO. And the second is an on-campus placement. Now, where the student face the most of the problem is the off-campus thing. Now, it's highly recommended to all of you to start applying to companies since from the beginning of your third year and the final year. Don't wait till all the on-campus companies will visit and then we'll apply. Don't do that. Start applying from the from the beginning of your third year and the final year, so that eventually it's going to add up. If you'll get a placement with a company which has visited your campus, that's good. If you'll get a placement outside your college, that is also good, right? You can get both, you can keep both the offers, and by the end of the year you can decide whichever you want to go with. Okay, so there is no harm in that. Don't be lazy. I have seen people who say that they'll apply after all the companies will be done, like who visit on campus will, when they'll be done, we'll go for on off campus. Don't do that. Start applying from day one. And yeah, and the most important thing, make sure to apply for at least 5 companies on daily basis, either on their career portal. So I'll be talking about some resources as well, how to apply for off campus, right? So make sure to apply to at least 5 companies on daily basis, because the probability of getting a test link or getting a revert from a recruiter is really less when you apply for off campus. For example, if I applied to off campus firms in January 2021, and like it's around 100 companies. I applied to 100 companies and I got a test link from 5 of them. So the probability is very less. And I should recommend you, that's why you should apply to at least 5 companies on daily basis, so that the probability of getting a test link will be higher. And most important thing, you should update your resume according to the job description that is given to you. You should not submit the same resume each and every time when you are applying to a firm. Okay, it's because it's not, whenever you apply for a company, it's not the HR or the recruiter who will see your resume in the first go. Your resume will go through the ATS score, ATS screening, which will generate a score and rank your resume along with other applications. And if you are in the top rank threshold, then you will be like shortlisted. Else, you'll not even get the reply for rejection. As of my experience, not all the companies reply to you that you are not selected and all. Okay, so now the most important thing for you is to focus on the ATS score, the ATS screening. So how you can make your resume stand out, right? So there are a few things that we are going to discuss in the questions that Vinay has prepared. But for now, I would, since you are a college student, I'll tell you some of the important things that you should keep in mind while building a resume. One thing, do make sure to and you to mention your contact information through which your recruiter can contact you. Your education, if you are a college student, education should come first. If you are experienced professional, then education should come last. After education, experience section should be there. Now, what mistake? I'll not talk about the mistake. What you should include in your experience section. If you have done a previous internship, if you have done any previous, if you are like a working professional, you might have some previous experience, or you might have done some maybe some GSOC internship kind of thing. So that thing you can add in your experience section. Now, what needs to be included in that overview of that internship? 3 things. One is what you have achieved from that internship, what you have done in that internship, and what you have learned in that internship. So these 3 things should be considered while writing the points under the experience section. Okay. And one more thing, you should not mention anything like I was a campus ambassador for so and so event. You should not mention those things under experience. And even if you have done some mentorship program, you should not mention it in the experience section, because it's not adding any value to your resume, right? Moving ahead to the projects, which is one of the most important sections for all the people who don't have previous experience. Projects is the place where you can make the most impact, from which you can make the most impact. uh, 3 projects are generally enough, but if you don't have previous experiences, you can add some more projects just to fill out the gaps in your resume. Okay. Now, what you should mention in your projects, like many students, what they do is they write the complete paragraph. No, you should not do it. You should keep it like you should add bullet points. The bullet point should go like this. You should mention the um, Rohan, if you can mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So the bullet point should go like this. You should mention the technology stack that you have followed. You should also mention the link to that project if it's there. You should mention the like if there is if there is any metrics associated with it. For example, if you have built a machine learning model, then you should mention that it has achieved like 99% accuracy or 95% accuracy. If you have built an Android app and you have uploaded to Play Store, you should mention that it has gained like 100 downloads or 1000 downloads. That's a good thing, right? uh, or you have built any POC which is making the service like 5 times faster or 6 times faster. So you can mention those metrics. It will add value to your resume. Okay, and what else you can mention in those points is what you have learned, what you have achieved, and what technology stack you followed. Now, why technology stack is important in the project section? Now, for example, if you are sitting in an interview and in the interview is like uh, he saw the topic of the project, that is e-commerce website, he might ask you questions related to Node.js or Django because both are backend frameworks, and you have not mentioned anything, so he can ask questions from any of them, right? So you should make sure to that you have mentioned the technology stack that you have followed, so that the question whichever question is being asked by the recruiter or the interviewer should be aligned by your knowledge. Okay, now moving on to the next step, that is the accomplishments. That is one of the most important thing that recruiters get attention from. So mention each and everything that you have achieved previously. For example, uh, you might have scored some amazing rank in a contest, or maybe you have some amazing star rating on a coding platform, or you have cleared a particular amazing examination. So you should mention also all those kind of stuff in the achievement section. Now, some of the important section that you should include in a resume is relevant courses that you have done till now, and uh, the community work or the extracurricular thing that you are doing, right? So these things actually help the interviewer to know more about you, so that he or she can ask questions that are aligned to you. Okay, so I hope this point is clear. Now we'll talk about the different sources which can help you to apply to different for off-campus placements and internship. So the first and foremost source is first sources, I would say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place. It has a separate jobs tab where you'll find opportunities from around the world. So do make sure to be active on LinkedIn, so that you should maintain your LinkedIn profile, and you should be active on LinkedIn because it, it will help you to increase your network further. Once your network is increased, once you'll have greater reach, people will know you, and whenever you'll need some help, for example, if you require a referral, people, if you have a good reach, people will definitely help you with referrals and all, right? Even if you want guidance, people will help you because people will know. When people know you, they will definitely help you to make through it. Okay, LinkedIn is one of the source, and so this is also one of the problems that students face, that they are not getting a good job, they are not getting a good internship in some big companies. So, and they want to work, they want to do some internship. So, from where they can get such internship, where so like for example, startups is one of the things that you should go for if you're not getting an internship at a big firm like the tech giants. And AngelList is a place where you can find some amazing startups hiring for internships and full-time placements. And the best part is they will not ask you things more related to DSA, data structure and algorithm, but they'll ask you most of the stuff related to your previous experiences or the projects you have built or the technology stack that you know. So they are more concerned about your development skills rather than your like data structures and algorithms. And the best part is they mention everything in the job description, like the compensation they are providing, the experience they require, and there are filters on uh, AngelList where you can type all the keywords that are relevant to you, and accordingly there will be a list of opportunity that will come up, and you can apply accordingly. This is one of the source. Now, other sources, there are some amazing websites where frequent challenges used to happen like Hacker Earth, Dare to Compete, Tech Gig. These are some platforms where uh, companies host their hiring challenges or hackathons. So you should keep an eye on all these platforms to get aware of which company is hosting their hiring challenge, or which company is hosting their hackathon, because companies do hire through hackathons, right? So make sure you are aware of those things. Further, there are some amazing YouTube channels. Like, I also share some amazing opportunities today only. Information for you people are is I'll be sharing 10 to 12 opportunities, around 10 to 12 opportunities today in today's video. So make sure to check out the channel and apply to all those relevant opportunities which are aligned to you. Okay, so YouTube is an amazing source from where you can get opportunities. LinkedIn is an amazing source. Some amazing platforms are there. You can cold mail recruiters. You can text directly people on LinkedIn. Like, if there is any job opportunity in your firm, is there any internship opportunity at your firm, you can directly reach out to startups to get some opportunity there. So, so we have already spent around 25 minutes. So, I guess I have covered most of the things regarding off-campus and internships and placement. So we'll be talking about some common questions. I like Vinay will be asking me some common questions of the students, and then we'll take up the doubts because I have seen a lot of texting in the
Sir,
chat
there's
box.
a question from Nasir.
Yeah. Yes.
Face-to-face internship and placement versus online internship and
Yes, yes.
placement.
Oh, good point.
Which one
Like,
is better?
Nasir, great question actually. One more thing I want to mention here is, if any company, any firm is asking you to pay for a training period for an internship, say no directly. Don't go for it. Look, the thing is, you have the skills. You, what is your okay? So you have the skills, and what they are asking you, pay for doing the work. Now, this is not relevant, right? If they'll pay you for doing the work, that's fine, that's good, that's the convention. But if you're paying for doing the work, that's not good, right? That's a scam. So you should not go for paid internships. Internships should always be, if there is any stipend associated, go for them. And if the source is relevant, if you know that person closely, and they are like hiring people, like unpaid internship, what I'm talking about. So there are companies which are good, and they hire people for unpaid internships, but I don't believe they are good enough. So I would recommend not to go for them. Always go for paid internships and other stuff. Yeah, so face-to-face internships and online internships. So obviously, physical internships are really amazing. Even I did my internship virtually only, but I had a great experience. I really had a great experience. It was great learning experience. I got to interact with a lot of people, although it was virtual, but the experience was really amazing. Talking about the face to face, obviously, man, world before COVID was much better than today, right? So anything face to face is amazing, but since we are in a situation, in a position that we cannot afford that, we have to manage with this only. And believe me, uh, you can make your virtual experience reach up to that limit also, when you would have been present physically, by interacting with a lot of people, by sharing your, asking about their experiences, sharing your experiences. It's up to you how you have to make most out of it, basically. I hope this answers your question, Nasir. Okay, so Vinay, let's continue with the question that you have prepared, and then we'll move on to the question in the chat
Okay.
section. Yeah.
So, sir, what is more important, data structure or a good resume?
Okay. So, to be like, I'll correct you first of all. Data structures is a skill that you can showcase during an interview. Interview is a thing which is followed by a resume shortlisting. So you can obviously mention this particular skill. You know, you have command over data structures and algorithm. You can mention that in your resume. And in software engineering domain, it is now one of the most mandatory skills, I would say, right? So there is no comparison which is important, which is not. Both of them belong to a different scenario, and we should consider both of them while applying to a company. You need to have data structure and algorithm knowledge before applying to a company, and it is one of the mandatory thing in your resume, so they are indirectly related. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you please share with us your anyone interview experience?
Okay. Uh, so like on my channel, you can see I have already shared around 30 plus interview experiences from different companies. I have covered most of the companies, but talking about my experience, so in India, what we have is most of the companies hire the hiring process looks like this. It starts with an online test, which has easy to hard level questions, followed by an online test. We have a few technical interviews, and then which are followed by a HR discussion or a HR interview. So this is the in general process for most of the companies. Now talking of the technical round, what they expect from a fresher or from an intern is that data structures and algorithm knowledge must should be there. You need to have good projects. You need to have knowledge about the CS fundamentals, which include operating system, DBMS, and computer networks, and some software engineering concepts. uh, yeah, so these are the things that they expect. Now you should not write anything which you don't know in and out in your resume. Even if you don't know things about your project, you should make sure to learn them by heart, then mention them in your resume. Because in case if the interviewer will ask you something which you don't know, it will harm your overall impression. So make sure to keep that in mind. And one more thing I want to mention for all of you is that I have created a complete placement resource guide. It is hosted on my GitHub, and like it has all the resources, starting from preparing for a language to the end, that is the HR questions. So I have, you know, put down or jot down everything I can, things from where I prepared, and I've created a video explaining everything from that sheet. So you can check that out, and all the resources that I mentioned there are free of cost, so it will not hamper you anyway. So do check it out. Okay, Vinay.
Sir, how to manage studies with placements preparation while in college?
Okay, now talking about the computer science branch and related branches, being a part of EC, it was a bit difficult for me to manage the electronics domain and the computer science domain things, because for getting a job in software industry you need to have CS fundamentals, you need to have knowledge about CS fundamentals, data structures and algorithms, and projects related to software domain. So it is, I would say, much more easy for computer science students to manage both of them, because most of the things that they learn in their curriculum are a part of the thing that companies require. But for other domain students, it is a bit tough. So what I used to do is, uh, I mean, there is no shortcut, man. You have to put in efforts. You will have to give time to data structures and algorithm, to different skills that are there, like web development or Android development, and it will take time, but eventually you will master all those things. So talking about the during my time, what I used to do is I used to give more time to computer science domain thing rather to my engineering domain. Uh, so obviously I was like, my inclination, my interest was into computer science only. So what I used to do is, I used to study for the examinations 10 days before, and clear them, and rest of the other time I used to study for the CS fundamentals and other things. So I don't think it's difficult for anyone to clear examinations if you will study hard for the last 10 days. I believe so, but yeah, I don't think it's a big thing to clear college examination. So you don't have to study all the way around if you belong to a different domain other than the domain you like. So you can focus on the other stuff, like the one you like during the year, during the session, and for before 1 to 2 weeks you can start concentrating over the subjects, domain subjects. And just you need to have good friends, right? Good friends who pay attention in the classes, and so that you will have some good notes before the examination.
सर मेरी तरफ से ये क्वेश्चन था कि बैकलॉग, सीजीपीए, कॉलेज और स्कूल की परसेंटेज जो होती हैं, ये किसी भी मतलब ऐसे जॉब लेने के लिए जरूरी होती हैं क्या, इम्पोर्टेंट होती हैं?
Okay, so if I talk about CGPA, it is mandatory because obviously there is a criteria which companies keep to shortlist students. So they are basically easing their job, right? They keep a threshold that all the students above 7.5 CGA are eligible for applying to this job. So they are basically like comforting themselves. And so yes, CGPA do matters. And but if your CG is above 7 or 7.5, you're good to go. Most of the companies will like allow you to apply. 10th and 12th percentage is a thing which is a criteria kept by many companies nowadays, and the criteria is like 60% aggregate in 10th and 12th. So yeah, it does matter during placement and internship. And what else? Oh, gaps. Yeah. So companies do not allow students with backlogs to sit for their placements. So this is also one of the criteria. So you should make sure to clear all your backlogs and stuff during your summer vacations before applying to a company. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir. And one more question. Will having a gap in a job create a problem while applying?
Okay. So this is also one of the questions that students have rightly asked. So if you're a student who is graduated in 2021 and then you took a gap for 1 year and then you start applying to 2022 in the 2023rd year, then you will be considered, you can only apply to jobs for 2021 and previous batches. So make sure you apply to only those jobs. So there are two losses when you have gaps. Basically, first is you will not be able to apply for the recent new grad jobs. That is one loss. Second is you will be asked in an interview what you did in your gap year. Where were you? Uh, like, were you doing an internship, or were you like? There could be any reason, right? But it will be touched anyways.
What are some good project ideas for college students to
Uh-huh.
stand out?
Okay, so honestly speaking, there is no project idea to which can make you stand out, but I would say every project can make you stand out if you can add some amazing values to it. If I talk about mine, so I have added a e-commerce website in my resume, right? And it's still added. So why it is it's a normal project. Like e-commerce website is a very common project that most of the students build. Now I forgot to mention this thing. Whenever you build your project, you should keep in mind a few things. First of all, it should be unique. Try to make it unique. Try to add a real world scenario to it. See to it if it's making any impact. Try to mix multiple technologies. For example, if you're building a website, if you add chatbot to it, you're combining website development and natural language processing together. So try to combine technologies. So these are some of the points that you can keep in mind while building projects to make them stand out. There is no single project that can help you to stand out or that can help your resume to stand out. Now talking about my project, my e-commerce project, it is a simple project, right? But what I did was it was an end-to-end complete full-fledged e-commerce website. I have integrated multiple APIs into it. Further, it is still used by a vendor in one of the states in India, and it is serving people. Okay, so it is impacting people's life. It is solving a real world problem. That's why I have mentioned it. It is creating an impact. That's why I mentioned it. Okay, so try to make projects which are solving real world scenarios, which can make impact, and so and so. Yeah.
So, what are the things I should specify in my resume to grab the attention of HR?
So we already have discussed about the complete scenario, like what we should include in our resume, what we should not include in our resume. But two things that the recruiters do like is the achievement section and the experience section, I would say. Yeah, these two things are really liked by the recruiters, and they take a reference from skills section to shortlist your resume sometimes, because they do match your resume with the job description. If it is aligning to it, then they like move forward your application. So make sure to put good amount of things in your accomplishments, only relevant obviously, in your accomplishments, and make sure to write include these 3 points in your experience, that is the thing you achieved, the things you learned, and uh, what else I mentioned, the things you learned, the things you achieved, and what you have done in your so and so experience. Okay.
So, a question from Roderick, like during internship, is it proper or ethical to receive monetary allowance to bosses?
Roderick, can you please clear your question? I didn't get the last thing. Receive monetary allowance is fine to bosses. Can you please like unmute or speak your
Yes,
question?
sir.
That
Yes,
would be
sir.
great.
I just want to know if is it proper or ethical to be receiving allowance money like money to boss to supervisors
Yeah.
like that to superior officers to managers like that.
So yeah. I already specified this point, Roderick. You should do an internship. Uh, you should not go for unpaid internships. You should focus, like you should go for paid internships whenever possible, because unpaid internships are kind of scam, and they are like kind of exploitation, to be honest, for a student.
No, no,
And
sir.
if your point is, if you're one second, if you want to like from your point, if you meant asking
No,
for money to your bosses and everything, Roderick, can you?
no. What I mean is they they no. What I mean, sir, is that while working, they are your bosses because of your good work. They offer you money as an
Okay.
allowance. Is it ethical for you to receive
Okay, so okay,
the
okay.
the allowance?
So, uh, in big firms, this these kind of stuff, probably, such kind of stuff is not seen, to be honest. But if I talk about some small companies, bosses do give allowances to their colleagues if they perform well and stuff, and there is no harm in taking that, until and unless your you know until and unless it is legal within your firm. Okay, so make
Okay,
sure,
sir.
make sure it's legal and it's not a part of prohibited acts within your company. So
Yes, voluntary, sir.
yeah, what?
Thank you. If it is given voluntary, then perhaps it is. It is not.
So if it's given voluntarily, you can consider it as a
It is
gift, and
not
you can,
bad
and
to accept.
if it is given voluntarily, yeah. If it is given voluntarily by your boss, then you can consider it as a gift, and it will not be included a thing which is a part of your, which is under your firm's boundary. So you should take it anyway.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So Prashant has a question: best platform to learn DSA? There is no best platform, Prashant. I would highly recommend you to please check that complete resource guide on my YouTube channel or my GitHub. Uh, you will get the complete resources for from where you can study which thing.
Sir, there's a question from Cedric, like how can we avoid being scammed on our first job?
How can we? Okay,
Scam.
okay. How can we? So do a complete background check before applying to a company or before joining a company. You should ask people who are already working there. You should ask on. You should uh, check on the internet if that particular company is verified or not, or is actually treating their employees you know treating their employees uh, what we call that. Uh, uh, Judicially and yeah, so legally and everything, with all respect, legally also, financially also, if the company is doing good or not. So you should do a background check before applying and before joining any company. Okay. Hi
Sir,
Prabodha from Sri Lanka.
so like you are a software engineer in Microsoft. So what research did you do to prepare for this role?
Okay, so one of the things that students face problem with is the domain that they should go for building projects. Because eventually, when you join a company, you will be building different things. You'll not be doing DSA problems, right, in a company. So development is a thing that students should focus on, and in development also there are a ton of domains, right, and it's really difficult to choose one of them. So the strategy that I followed was, I used to give 6 months to a particular domain of my interest. First of all, I read about different domains. The one which I which gets my interest, which gets my attention, I used to give 6 months to that, build some projects, gain some insights into it, and then jump onto some other domain. And this particular thing helped me during my job as well, during my internship as well. One more thing I want to mention is, apart from all this, I forgot to mention this point. If you guys have time, if placement is like not far, not near, you should try to do freelancing on various platforms like PeopleUpper, Upwork, Freelancer.com, Fiverr, or there is one more, Toptal and Guru.com. These are some of the places from where you can gain three things. First is experience, that is, you can grow your skills. Second is network, you will build a great network. And third is money. So I'm a professional freelancer as well. I was a professional freelancer, but now I'm doing a full-time job. So I left that thing, and I have experience of 2.5 years in freelancing. And believe me, it's a great thing. You'll learn a lot, you'll earn a lot, and the network you'll get is like beyond awesome. So I interact with people around the world, and freelancing helped me do that. Like, I interact with people from across the globe, man. USA, Europe, Italy, France, Germany. And the internship that I did, which extended for 10 months, is a part of my freelancing only. I got that internship via my freelancing only. Okay.
Sir, there's a question from Ritu, like
Mhm.
how to start content writing.
Okay. How to write content writing. So
Start.
start, yeah, how to start content writing. So there are a lot of blogs. First of all, no, first of all, you need to decide what type of content you want to write. You want to write technical content, you want to write literary content, or some other kind of content, right? So you want to figure out that first. When I did content writing, it was completely technical, related to technical technology. and it is precisely related to data structures and algorithm. So whatever I have learned before, I was putting into the articles. So my experience helped me to write those things. If you are trying to do things in literature, if you want to write blogs related to that, you should have good amount of you should have reading skills. You should be fond of reading a lot, because that will help you to increase your vocab and help you to write different things that will touch your readers' hearts and minds. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay. One more question from Aisha. Like, sir, can you please recommend some platform for freelance or internships?
Freelancing, yeah, I already mentioned freelancing platforms like People Per Hour, pps.com, that is, Guru.com are some of the amazing platforms. Upwork and freelancer.com are places where the competition is very high. So I would recommend everyone to go for People Per Hour and Guru.com. There is one more platform which is coming, yet not disclosed, but LinkedIn is launching their own freelancing platform very soon. So keep an eye out on that. I would like to thank everyone to take out time for this session. I really appreciate that, and thank you, Vinay, for inviting me. I hope I was able to add some value to all of you. And if you have any doubts, do get in touch with me on my social media handles. You please click on them, at least one of them, so that once this meet is over, you will not lose them. Right? So you can click on any one of them, and from where there you can reach out to. From there you will find all my social media handles.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. That this was very enlightening.